Hello and welcome to the Galatta Plus Mega Year-End Roundtable 2022 presented by GT Holidays and Westin Mumbai Powai Lake. Hello everyone and thank you for being here for the Galatta Plus Year-End 2022 grand interview, which Karan says should be completely and utterly frivolous. So
Yes.
we shall not go anywhere
Just
serious.
suits my style.
Yeah, that's it. We just like coffee with all these people.
Yeah.
But there's no coffee. So, but I just want to begin by saying, this is a mix of people from all industries, and I think one of the nicest things about this group is that, for example, Dulquer, who's technically from the Malayalam film industry, has scored a big hit in the Telugu film industry, which is Sitaramam. Karthi is pretty much like he started off with a role in Vikram, which is not a role, and then he had a Viruman, and then he had a solo hit in Sardar, and then he had Ponniyin Selvan, which is probably a biggest hit, and you were pretty much the running thread through it. And then there's Srinidhi from KGF 2, and then there's Varundhawan, Jug Jug Jio, Bhedia, the werewolf scaring all of us right now. And there's Pooja, whose movies, which are the movies again?
Oh my God.
Since you said where are you from? Which part of the?
I'm from India.
Indian film industry.
Nice.
I'm representing a bunch of industries.
So you started the year with Beast.
I started the year with Radhe Sham. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm mixing up, but
You
there was
started the year
Radhe
with Beast,
Sham
I thought.
and there was Acharya in Telugu. There was in Tamil there was Beast, and now I'm ending the year with Circus in Hindi.
So you're pretty much like covering
Circus out this year?
a thing. And then this person you may know, Karanjohar, and Anuragkashyap. Are you best of friends now or?
Yeah.
We are into
We
each other.
patched up 13 years ago,
Yeah.
and then he destroyed me again.
Okay. And how was that?
You may have heard of a film called Bombay Velvet.
Which she called Red Velvet.
Oh my God! Oh my God! It's on camera.
That's the cupcake I needed right after that film.
Yeah, actually that did happen.
No, I have to say, he's the only one who had faith, because prior to that, even directors in my own company weren't casting me. He's the only one who came and took a punt on me. I'm so sorry, Anurag. Maybe it was me.
Experience 10 days of Grand Europe trip for easy EMI of Rs 25,000 only with GT Holidays, South India's #1 travel brand.
Right. And Hemant is there. He's making this big movie with Shetty, can I say? Yeah. Saptasagar. I'm sorry. Saptasagar. So
How does that
you're
translate?
Somewhere beyond the seven seas.
Oh, wow.
yeah, somewhere beyond the seven seas.
Very
And
nice
so
teaser and all of it.
right, so you're following the footsteps of Kannada cinema into, because this year Kannada cinema has been the big story.
Yep.
That's been the KGF 2, Kantara, and then
No pressure
hopefully
at all.
no pressure at all. Yeah. And then there's Nipun, who's Nipundharmadhikari, who made one of my favorite films of the year. And anybody who loves classical music, especially Hindustani classical music, should watch this film. It's one of the greatest biopics ever made in India.
Wow.
And I'm so glad
Yeah.
that you're here to represent a term that I hate, which is regional cinema, because I think every cinema is actually, even Hindi cinema is regional cinema, but somehow we've gotten into this habit of labeling non-Hindi cinema as regional cinema. So for that, whatever it is. But we have another representative from regional cinema, and that's Reema Das. She gifted me this. This is very Guwahati, thing. So Reema's in spirit with us. When I visited her, I got this. So. So what are we going to talk about?
Hey, you called us here.
Invited us here.
Are you still doing Badipa?
Yeah. So that's what you wanted to ask me? Right. This has been the first year. It's too early to say what audiences are coming out to see, but at the same time, we've had enough of an inkling to say, okay, people are coming out for this, people are coming out for that kind of a thing. So what in your opinion has been something this is something that you put out and people are going to come and watch it? Is there something that you've found out yet? Or Anurag is shaking his head. He's like,
I'm the last person to have any clue of what works, you know. I've only made things that doesn't work on that level. Yeah, but I don't know, in the sense, it's either something very new that's working for people or something familiar that they want to revisit.
right.
Yeah.
It can be the filmmaker or the story, like Drishyam 2.
Right.
Like, you know, that world people wanted to revisit.
Right.
Or something that has grown over a period of time and then there's a sequel comes out, or something that is very familiar and they like it,
Right.
or something that's totally new. And I think everybody is literally, I don't know which was one film that has opened to massive first day opening, because everything somewhere is word
In
of mouth
Hindi
now.
or
Anywhere and across.
RRR.
PS1,
KGF, RRR.
KGF is also familiar, no? Because
KGF sequel.
KGF 1 built
Was
up
there,
KGF
yeah.
2.
Yeah.
And then in Hindi, Brahmastra opened.
Brahmastra opened well.
Yeah.
Vikram also opened huge.
Vikram
Yeah.
opened
Opened,
well.
yeah,
Oh,
Ram
Ponniyin
has
Selvan
been really
I
good.
know, I was talking
PS1.
to only in our bed, but yes,
Yeah.
across the, then even Ponniyin Selvan was
Yeah.
really good.
PS1, RRR,
Ponniyin Selvan,
yeah.
these were the tentpole films of the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were the massive tentpole films.
So, would you say that these are the, like Karthi, would you say that, like you had a solo hit with Sardar, right? And then you had this Ponniyin Selvan coming almost back to back, like, I don't know, maybe a couple of
20
weeks
days,
apart?
yes.
20 days, yeah. Yeah, so
God.
what, have you had learnings this year? Like, this is the kind of stuff people are coming out to see, you know?
I think it starts with the trailer, like what you're going to make people expect from this film. And if you promise something and you give it, then it becomes huge. I think the trailer has become a big selling point today. That's what I feel. There's a very good trailer. The trailer promises you something, a new world, new characters, a new drama. That becomes a big hook for people to come inside. So, because I see that, you know, once, like my Sardar's teaser comes in, there was a lot of discussion. Once the trailer came in, people were hooked to it. People knew there's something new to offer. I think the milieu that you're going to offer, the human drama which you're promising, has to be solid in the film.
Right.
So the trailer, I think, is one main selling
Big
point.
thing. Apart from the bigger films, we've also had smaller, as in smaller scaled, like Juk Juk Jio, or in Tamil there's a film that I have to mention called Tiruchitrambalam, which are smaller in terms of
Even Love Today.
even Love Today, yeah, in Tamil, which are smaller in terms of like budget or whatever it is, and then they just broke out, and like, you know, people love the. I mean, those are the kind of films that people said would no longer work, because now people want to see only these big tentpole films. You know, like they only want to come out for a KGF or a thing, you know, like whatever film. But that seems to have
I guess they're missing those kind of cinema also.
They need the mixture, I probably.
Yeah, I think you know, every time there is a trend and then everybody jumps on that bandwagon, and then someone's like breaking out of it. So people find that refreshing. So I think that's always been the
Yeah,
case.
right now,
I think coming back to
Pan India is a trend at the moment.
Yeah.
I think there's an
Which is
audience
scary
for
also.
everything, you know.
No, I just feel
there
the
is
flavor, no? How a
Sorry?
story, the flavor of,
okay.
like that's why I said trailer, because it gives a glimpse into the flavor of the filmmaker, what he wants to say.
Right.
It might be a love story, but the characters that he's bringing into the film, or the world that you're taking into the film, I think that's very, very important. Might be a familiar story, like Sita Rama might be familiar, but the way it is said, the way it is musically presented, the way the actors are presented, all that really matters.
Right. What about Marathi cinema? How has the year been in terms of people coming to theatres?
It hasn't been good. It hasn't been good for the past 2-3 years, since I think 2019. Of course, pandemic did play a part. I think only one film turned a profit. We did get some numbers, but one film turned a profit in theatrical businesses. But I think even as filmmakers, even we are to blame. We haven't been very consistent post, I think, Sairat and then a Ventilator. But then we haven't been consistently giving good films to the audiences. And now what has happened is that Marathi cinema is not the number one priority for most of the Marathi people.
Okay.
So if they have a budget for to go to the films, to the theatres, they would rather watch a different film than watch a Marathi film. Usually, of course, there are some exceptions. I hope that we continue giving better and better films and understand what the audience really wants. Because I feel there is some kind of a disconnect right now between what they want and what we are making.
Right.
So, even with Vasantrao, I like the fact that people like the film, you like the film. But unfortunately, it has not done the kind of numbers that we expected it would. The year has been a little rocky.
Right. Yeah. Karan, what about your experience with the whole Brahmastra, the pre, and the post?
So I think normalcy is back in most industries. I think I would say normalcy is back in the Tamil film industry, in the Malayalam film industry, in the Telugu film industry, in the Kannada film industry. And as Karthi said rightfully, it's then dependent on the trailer, the teaser, the build-up, the energy. And like if you see, Telugu is known for a certain brand of cinema, but then Sitaramam does so fantastically, you know. So it's like, it all depends on, they're open to all kinds of content. What's happening in Hindi is, and probably even in Marathi cinema, the major belts, and I'm going to get slightly technical only so that everybody understands, that Bombay and Delhi, which accounts for nearly 60% or 65%, 60 to 70 depending on the film, of the audience, of the number that comes in, they haven't been behaving as consistently as it was pre-pandemic. So what has been working has been only the spectacle films, even if they're dubbed films. Even if it's KGF, it's RRR, which have done humongous. Like KGF is a mammoth number. It's the only film in the 400 crore club. The last hit before that is 380 Dangal. Then comes KGF with 430 plus. There is, and then the next hit is Bahubali 2 at 512. Now both the 400 and 500 are both dubbed films in the Hindi-speaking belt. Something that we have to all wake up, realize, academically understand.
Right.
The only 4 or 5 Hindi films that have made money have just been those, just 4 or 5 of those. Everything else, and I'm not saying the films were good, not good, that's not my comment to make, but like the market has been behaving very erratic, and not erratic that suddenly something like Drishyam, for example, everybody's saying, oh, dubbed films you say don't work, but Drishyam, now there's an academia to Drishyam as well. Drishyam was hugely liked theatrically in 2015.
Yeah.
Right.
Humongously loved on satellite. There is no Hindi dub of Drishyam online. Right. It's available only in a subtitle version. So the audiences that loved Drishyam and feel the film didn't end there have watched it several times on satellite, relished it, enjoyed it, and therefore the film opened to a 15 plus number, whereas all tracking meters were saying everything between 8 and 9. Or 8. Nobody predicted this 15 number. And then the film was loved. That is a double whammy. And now the territories that are giving it the maximum business is like Maharashtra, which has been behaving like not in the best manner, you know, post-pandemic. The numbers and I always know the center belt is the heartland, and Gujarat step on board to a film, then there's nothing stopping your film.
Right.
The moment those two territories are distant from your film, you can never do a very large number. So Gujarat and CPCI Rajasthan have to jump on board. And that's just the way the business model works. So that's why now it is in Hindi cinema, it is, if you're doing a sequel or you're doing a remake, a sequel has to be loved on satellite, then you'll get a number. Or if you're doing a remake, then make sure you don't have a Hindi dub available. Right. You know, and otherwise just make good films, because that is the only other way to kind of combat anything else.
Right, and good is so subjective. Like,
good is subjective, but you have to know we have a pan-Indian audience now. We have an audience that doesn't just want, like there was a certain 70 crore club that existed. Kapoor and Sons, Neerja, Piku was 80, there was lots of Pink, there were a lot of these films at 70. Now that 70 is now 30. You have to accept it. You have to accept that is dropped. There's no such thing as a 70 crore club, where high content, well appreciated, good high-end multiplex films were giving you 65, 70, 75 crores, which was great at the box office. That is not happening right now, and I don't see that happening for a while.
Right. When it comes to Kannada cinema, would you say that this is a consistent trend, or do you think that we have jumped the gun by saying that you know, these two films are now representative of the new kind of reality? Because one of the things I have been asked consistently across the year is, you know, please comment on, you know, how regional cinema has replaced Hindi cinema, whatever it is. I'm also looking at the number of, because, you know, I'm aware of Tamil cinema, I'm aware of Telugu cinema. I'm also aware of how many flops there are. That the numbers, I mean, people look at the 2 or 3 big films and say, oh wow, regional cinema is doing so well, but there are so many films that are not doing well. So what's that? I mean,
No, I think what happens is once a film sort of gathers momentum, like for example with KGF or with Kantara, there is a natural sense of pride that the people of that land feel, and they propagate it. And the unique thing about Bangalore, which I feel is which doesn't exist that much in other parts of the country, is the number of films from other languages that release in Bangalore. It's very multicultural. So the inherent Kannada audience is dying to give it back in a sense. And like I remember from my early days.
What a give back has happened. Look at the year.
It's not that we are sensitive. It's just that, you know, every single time I've come out for work opportunities long back, about 8-9 years back, people used to say Kannad. And I used to go back
Kannada.
and people like myself, Rakshit, Rishabh, Raj and so on and so forth, Prashant, all of us, we feel this need to just make people say Kannada. Like at least take our language in the right way, right? So I think there is a lot of that, you know, we have to show what we can do. That is come into the system in a way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is also a lot of films are trying to ape, are going to ape.
Right.
And
yeah, that's a problem.
that is going to happen. It's how the market functions.
It's like, you know, I
The
used to say that.
consequence of what happened.
Because
I also feel, you know, this narrative which is now there right now, you know, that suddenly, I also hate using the word regional cinema, but whether it's Kannada cinema, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada cinema, Telugu or Tamil, these industries are now seeing so much limelight. I think it's wrong because some of the biggest hits in Hindi from ages ago, I think when my dad was making films in the 90s, all those stories were remakes of either Tamil or Telugu films.
Yeah.
I mean, we are speaking about it now. But these remakes have always been big hits, whether it's Gajni, but Malayalam cinema, where is the writing coming from? We are borrowing, we are remaking legally obviously, but we are taking the stories from there. So I feel what's happened in Hindi cinema, that there is a dirt for original stories. There is a dirt for good original stories, and we also, as, not me, but I'm saying, sorry, you're the only Hindi filmmaker here. But I'm saying that the makers, sorry, but he's been doing original. He's always tried to do original stuff. So
Karan, I don't like where this is going because it's
no, what I mean is that we've not empowered our writers and backed them to do original.
No. I also think that, you know, speaking as an audience for the Kannada industry in terms of me being from Karnataka originally, you know, I'm from Mangalore, is that we just want to be represented when you watch a film, right? You want to see yourself, you want to see your culture, and I think with the film like Kantara, which was what was really like, you know, Bhuta Kola is something we grew up with. I've seen that. I've experienced that magic. And to see that represented in film was something that was like, wow, like, you know, people are going to know about us. People are going to watch this film, and, you know, it's that magic also that was there. So I think that people are just waiting for that, because I know my family, I'm saying like my grandmother and they wanted to go watch Kantara. They don't want to watch other films, but they wanted to go watch because they were like, it was like, let's all go as a family to watch it.
Right.
And,
But I actually completely agree with what Varun said, and I think that the core issue is, and that includes myself, is that we come from a mainstream industry in Hindi cinema which doesn't have one very strong quality which every other cinema on this panel has, which is conviction. We kind of always go with the flow. So we are if you academically break, we had such an original voice with Salim Javed in the 70s. You know, we created a certain character, and in fact, it was derived in other cinemas. The concept of this hero which was angsty and angry and on the, you know, and then in the 80s, suddenly something happened and there became a host of remakes. That's where the conviction loss started. We started remaking every film that was popular in Tamil and then in Telugu. And it was the birth of many stars in that era, you know. And then suddenly, and there's an academia to this also. In the 90s, we discovered, because there was literally one love story that was stormed the nation called Hum Aapke Hain Kaun. Everyone, including myself, decided to jump on that bandwagon of love, and Shah Rukh Khan was created. And we let go of all our roots in the 70s. We went ahead with the 90s. And 2001, when Lagan was nominated for an Academy Award, we were like, oh, now we must all do these kind of films. So then there was a birth of those kind of films, and that started right up to 2010 when My Name is Khan, which is still a root of Lagan in my head, and released alongside Dabang, which again then went back, oh, now mainstream is back, and Gajni had done well in 2009. Now let's start making commercial films again. That's the problem. We actually lack, and I say this more for myself, I'm not speaking for anybody else, we lack the spine and we lack the conviction, and that's what we need to get from every other cinema on this panel.
I also think we're just really getting into like the language aspect of it. I mean, I remember growing up watching Mani Sir's films. Like, he was like, he made romance pan-India, you know, whether it was Bombay, whether it was, you know, Dil Se, whether it was Roja. Kamal Hassan sir, like I've grown up watching his films. Nayagan was one of my all-time favorite films. So I feel like somewhere we kind of got into a let's divide ourselves kind of a situation when actually our strength lies in the diversity of it, you know, that there are insane writers in Malayalam cinema, you know, there's great technicians in Tamil cinema.
Only in Malayalam cinema. I would say that actually. So.
And Telugu, the way they do action, I think if we got together.
He's like, "Abhi to maine bola."
And also I think another thing that I've, in my analysis, I could be very wrong on this, is that for a very long period of time, the heartland of India, the working class, middle class, for them, satellite consumption, people moved to Netflix and people moved to Amazon. There's a huge number of people who are still watching cable television. And all of them watched Hindi dubbed version of Telugu films, Tamil films, Kannada films. And I've seen those films where heroes from our industries are mouthing dialogues in Hindi.
Right.
I'm very sure people somewhere are consuming that.
All over.
Which is why the monies that are paid for your dubbed satellite action film, if there is 3 fights, you'll get this. 4 fights, you'll get this.
Is that a fact?
I mean, there are directors who go out and just compose fights because they can sell the dubbing rights of the film. That's so. Everything in the industry is dictated by money ultimately.
Right.
So,
This is after KGF 1, across North India and CPCI Rajasthan, the most popular actor was not a Shah Rukh Khan or Salman Khan. It was Rocky Bhai. They did not know Yash's name.
And even
They saw Rocky Bhai so much.
all the remake films of Prabhasars and all the action films,
Right.
People actually identify those characters as themselves because the heroes are rooted in that world.
And also probably the macho hero who went out of Hindi cinema for a while.
I think when Rocky Bhai came, it was like really a voice of the masses because it was really relatable.
For Hindi cinema viewers, it was actually a bona fide return of that hero that they've only seen Mr. Bachchan do.
Correct.
And
In the
that
70s.
Mr. Bachchan's template is pretty much emulated across the nation now. That swag, that dialogue, that
Rajni sir
walking with
keeps
that
saying that.
toothpick in his
Rajni
mouth.
sir keeps saying he made all Amitabh Bachchan.
Yes, so it was exactly that, and we who actually should be very grateful to Salim Saab and Javed Saab who created this, we let go of that hero and went to Switzerland.
That's what. No, but
I suppose that is cyclical. All industries go through it.
But
across
I
the board.
genuinely
I
feel
love
there's a
Switzerland.
We all have
being
good
a devil's
ideas.
advocate.
But with that also we didn't hold on.
No, but
I feel like, to me, growing up, Bollywood was Switzerland era. You know what I mean? The
was
big
Yash
Bollywood
Chopra,
movies,
I mean.
90s and
Yeah,
early
it was
2000s.
great.
Romance
It
was
was
great.
great.
People were traveling much back then. So for them, it was seeing.
I think there was,
Yeah.
like you're right. I think there was an aspirational
No,
aspect.
you see
We'll
what
have
happened with
Karan
the
go to
rise of
space
Shah
and
Rukh
shoot a
Khan
song now.
corresponded with the rise of
Yeah.
globalization. And with globalization is Shah Rukh Khan were hand in hand. So he became an aspirational globalization man.
Right.
And that's what happened in the 90s. So that time it used to be, agar aap New York or London go, aapki film commercial.
Yeah.
You know, then your film. Today if you say film based in New York, they'll say there'll be no connect to India. Like it's changed. It's totally changed. We went from making films for India to now films for Bharat, and that is what is really required.
But ultimately, I don't think that the narrative for the future should be us versus them. We are all together.
Yeah, but that's like
This is not bad
Rajamouli,
at
in
all.
fact,
Yeah.
Rajamouli
We
sir
all have
said
to be
that.
together.
He said, why can't we just call it Indian cinema and be proud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt proud when I see KGF, I see Kantara doing the numbers.
Exactly.
I feel proud when I see any Telugu and Tamil film work the way, and because I'm watching it all the time, consuming. I mean, look at this panel has such illustrious, bona fide superstar actors. I mean, that have given us such great content, and they are such good actors and such strong actors that I'm always watching and feeling like, oh my God, like these directors are nuanced and commercial, a balance that somehow I don't know how to achieve myself as a filmmaker.
When I saw Kaithi, I was so inspired. I was so inspired by his work, which I've told him in person as well, and by Lokesh sir's work. I saw that film and I was just like blown away.
Yeah,
I was
actually,
like, what a film! How cinematically, it's such a genius film. The way the character is written, the way the climax is conceived, and then
And
obviously
conviction.
Yeah.
and conviction to the T.
It's
And
for
the way he
conviction.
played his character.
I mean,
He was.
Even
and
with the
the last
Tamil
time I
film.
met Anurag, I asked him if he'd seen Vikram. And he said, I haven't seen Vikram because I have to see Karthi first, no?
Yeah,
He told me that. He was like, he wanted to
I
go
saw
and see-
Kathy and Vikram back to back.
Oh, you did that.
I did that. Yeah, I saw it back to
Gladly,
back.
also there's
I
an
watched it in theatre.
accountability, I think,
Great experience.
to critics that I think Hindi cinema has started taking more seriously. I'm sorry, I know
Yeah.
that's what you do,
Fair,
but
Pooja.
but I think I'm also reading every review, and at one point I think I'll die of nausea reading my own film reviews, because I feel like
Stop reading.
Yeah, stop reading.
I'm feeling like where's the logic? Where's this thing? Oh, Anupama or Bharadwaj will say something, and I'm like, so then I really removed one of them from there and hired him only. I can read one review less.
Who assembled this panel again? Dulquer, one thing that I mean, one of the biggest crossing films. Of course, you had your Sita Ramam, but your dad had Bhishma Parvam, which was like this big success, which is kind of like this swagger. I mean, of course, yes, as a film, it's a mix of The Godfather and the Mahabharata, and it's a very interesting mix. Kind of there, but it's also like that. It doesn't lead the heroism out of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like the old time, like you showcase the hero a certain way, which again people are a little confused about right now. It's like, do we go back? Like for example, you take a Salman Khan or something, or anybody else, like or the older heroes. I think there's a bit of a confusion now whether our audience is going to come for that. That slow-mo walk and the, one step out of the...
I think, people genuinely were missing that. Like,
They were missing that.
where you walk out of the cinemas feeling like the hero.
Yeah.
Where I feel like I'm Michael. And I think that's what was... And Amalini, the director, unapologetically, unabashedly, he's like, this is going to be a kick-ass, like, style flick that we've missed for so long.
Right.
And, my dad just completely, like, owned it. And we were missing... I got emotional for anything else. Like, I just seeing him with swag, I was like, oh my God, I've missed this for so long. Like, we were going so into, like, realistic cinema.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously he's enjoying playing all these different characters, but this is what we grew up following him for, or like, being these fanboys of him. And then suddenly you see a director finally projecting him the same way, his look, and there's so much of that high-speed stuff, the fight, bold cameras and music. It was like I was just like this the whole time. And I'm ready to cry. I'm like, I'm calling the director. I'm like, I want to hug you.
It's amazing you say that, Dulquer, because it's like, the other industries are saying that Malayalam cinema is realistic and they're enjoying all this, and you're saying, we wanted to, this was a change.
But I'm saying too much of anything, it makes something stagnant. Right? Like we are
balance.
You anything that breaks the clutter, anything that breaks the mold, that feels refreshing for you. Right. So irrespective across the industry.
Yeah, I think they have to
But I love this whole cultural awareness we're all bringing to each other.
It is what you take from a success. Say there are films that give you courage, and there are films that give you like this whole. They make projects like this whole. Say for example, this pan-India thing. Like I was talking to Nagaraj. I said, that Sairat destroyed Marathi cinema. The success of Sairat, because suddenly people realize that there's a possibility to make so much money. So suddenly the Umesh Kulkarnis and everybody else, they stopped making those films. Those films stopped getting made. And everybody wanted to emulate Sairat.
Yeah.
With Pan-India, what is happening right now is everybody's trying to make a Pan-India film.
Yeah.
But the success will be 5 to 10%.
Yeah.
See, a movie like Kantara and Pushpa gives you courage to go out and tell your story.
Yeah.
But KGF 2, whatever big the success, when you try to emulate that and set a project up,
you can't.
that's when it starts heading towards disaster.
But
That's the bandwagon that Bollywood destroyed itself on. So you have to find films that give you courage.
And I think that's where somebody like Rajamouli stands out, because he's like the first action scene in RRR, it should not work logically because it's one man versus literally thousands and thousands of people.
That action
but when
set
you see
piece,
it, right,
No, but
it's
you
like,
feel the thumb.
You feel,
An action
feel
set
like
piece
you
of
do it.
RRR, you don't know how somebody can imagine that when he comes with those animals.
Yeah.
But I think there's one thing that I remember.
Anurag, that was after all, collectively the theatre went, it was like,
It's like going back to the circuses. You're not seeing a visual like that.
One thing that Jason Blum, when he made his first horror movie, Blumhouse, and became a success, he said the only mistake I don't want to do is based on success keep increasing my budget. He has not changed his way of making films.
Right.
He still makes films in extremely controlled budgets and with all the back ends, with everybody getting money out of it.
Correct.
When the film becomes success, and he has consistently delivered successes.
Yeah.
But I feel like we start losing judgment, like when he said, this is something that...
We start losing
even
judgment. Like say for example,
in Kannada
Kantara
now, if...
starts changing the way the Rishabh Raj And Rakshit, they start making films and they start making that big budget film with an eye on the box office that it is. That will become a problem.
And
No, I think
everyone
the way they
thinks
approach the film
now,
has to be the same.
everyone thinks now if it's a pan-Indian film, you have to throw a lot of money at it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that
in all these films, no, has worked in their market so
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just
So
it's
it's
not a
rooted-
film
it's
which
rooted
worked
there.
all over India, but first their market.
Right.
Like
Their
Ponniyin
market.
Selvan
Like
worked
Ponniyin Selvan.
brilliantly in Tamil Nadu.
Yeah.
If it had not worked here and worked elsewhere, else,
Yeah.
there's
it
no
was,
charm
it was
to
made for that audience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You cannot
Even I got a
engineer
call.
something
That's what
for
Rajamani sir
pan-Indian
makes
success.
films for
We
Telugu
need to
audience,
make
and then it works
pan-India
everywhere.
Marathi film. I was getting a call that bring us a big subject. We want to make a big budget Marathi film which is pan-India. But my first thought to them, let's make a pan-Maharashtra film first. Let it work in Maharashtra first. It was, but it's been 6 years now.
Okay.
But that was again
2016.
always made for Marathi cinema, right?
Right.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think that's what
that's
works.
very
Exactly.
true
So-
that a film has to belong to the place that it comes from
Yeah,
first.
It has to
Yeah.
belong.
And you have
Yeah.
to be true to there.
There, and then it can grow outwards from there.
I mean, you can't start out as a project. You have to start out as
And
a
it's
film.
become
It has to be
fashionable
rooted.
write, you know,
Yeah.
in Tamil, Telugu,
Yeah.
Kannada, Malayalam.
Yeah.
I'm like, but have you gone there? Are you checking dubbing? Are you checking language, texture?
Yeah.
How, because you just can't outsource
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
and do, and that's what happened. Like, you know, we went through the beats in Brahmastra
There's
to
a-
go through, like Ayan and his team
there's a very-
diligently sat on every kind of
Correct.
beat on that.
There's a very funny story with RGV told me this recently. RGV Karan also are very good
Yeah,
friends.
yeah. We are actually. Yeah.
So RGV told me amazing story. RGV said, when I made Satya, I was inspired by Govind Nilani. I said, Govind Nilani was such a great filmmaker. I need to commercialize him. So I made Satya. Prashant Neel in his interview said, I thought RGV was a very good filmmaker. I need to commercialize him. And he made KGF. And RGV said, I'm waiting for that filmmaker who says Prashant Neel was a good filmmaker. I need to commercialize him.
It's only up and up. Yeah. So Srinidhi, when the first KGF happened, right? You know, even then with Prashant, like, what was his conviction like? That was your big, break. What was it like being around those people, making that one film that would put Kannada film end up doing that? But of course, at that point, you didn't know that.
Yeah.
What was it like?
So I'll tell you, I mean, when I met the team, it was not even 1 and 2. It was just KGF. And I knew that this brilliant team together trying to make a movie. Obviously, they had put it out back then that it is going to be high-budgeted movie. So we knew that it is going to be on a larger canvas. But obviously, we didn't know it will cater to such wider audience. We wanted to do a great, brilliant movie for Karnataka audience. And that's how we started also. Probably midway, somewhere there, then they saw the outputs and the rushes and they were like, okay, this is coming out really good. But still, we did not think about Pan-India back then. We thought, okay, let's just keep doing and all of that. We decided to divide it into 1 and 2. Chalo, we can't stuff everything in one part. Let's make it that. And then I think even Prashant, I'm sure you've spoken to him already. So even he did not think about making it as a Pan-Indian movie. It's Rocky Bhai, Yash, I think he came up with the idea that this is brilliant and we need to. So that's how once the content was ready, once the product was ready, that's when the distributors,
Decision
producer,
came about.
yeah. So like he rightly said, you should not start out with telling that let's do a pan-India movie.
Yeah.
First have your content right, finish it, then you sit and watch with the team and now you think that will this run throughout the Indian audience? Is it
And show to
okay?
different
Yeah,
distributors.
so it is about the content and the way you make it. So rather than starting out, let's do pan-India, I think it's
I mean, like
And with-
picture
with-
pan India honi chahiye, not the language.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
now
yeah.
people come and they're like, we'll shoot it in 2 languages, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
it's not needed.
No, like,
Shoot in one language.
like
It's not right.
It's the
Please
worst
back
thing
me
you can
up.
do.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do.
How many have you shot?
Oh, I've done those, and it's
Yeah.
like
How many languages
shot
have you
by
shot?
shot,
How
like
do
and
Dulquer has done many.
It's
like
the
the
worst.
order of
you're
the.
actually turning red.
No, I'm serious. Like, and
Stop
I've done films where I have to talk a lot. Like I'm a talkative
Yeah.
person. And what happens is this order in each language is different. The content might be the same, and your brain kind of processes it in one particular order, which might be even English from somebody like me. And there's a Tamil order, and they'll call cut, and they'll be like, oh, now Malayalam, whatever. And that order again get jumbled, and it's just a harrowing experience. And at the end of it,
same emotions and everything.
you are so mechanical in somewhere. One of the languages is constantly taking a hit in
Yeah.
every take.
Right.
And they're never the same films because you're saying the same
Oh my
thing,
God.
but they're 2
He doesn't
different
want to clearly
films,
do it again.
You know, because like languages have their own power also, right? Like a line like in Hindi, I would say it as "Mujhse pyar karoge to mar jaoge," but in Telugu, the word that they use for mar jaoge is chastab. which is more powerful. So when you're emoting the line in a different way. So they're two different films, but at the same time they're the same. But it's very, there's some scenes where I'm like, oh, I did it better in Hindi, and then Telugu and then I do Telugu and it just flowed because I wasn't thinking about what I'm saying or about how I'm saying it. So they're very, very different films, and I feel like magic happens only once in certain scenes. If it's an emotional scene, and then you have to replicate the magic, which is
dubbing itself is a replication of that moment which you can never do. So imagine dubbing it like this again and again.
What happens to me, if you do an emotional scene, and then until I finish dubbing, that emotion doesn't leave me. Only when I finish it goes off my heart.
And then it's out of your
still inside you.
And you have to keep it because you have to replicate that moment you did on set.
You know, one thing which I actually want to ask everyone over here, do you all feel post-COVID, is it only consumer behavior that has changed? That means the audience coming to theatre? Or do you think it's also the economy at large to play a part at theatrical? Because theatrical worldwide is diminishing. It's not like only we are talking about this rattling in India and Hollywood is, on its way up. So, I mean, you have to keep that in mind, right?
It's the same thing, no? It's what has happened in those 2 years and more for many, where their consumption pattern was totally different. They sat and got used to watching content on their mobile phones, on their televisions, either cable TV or the streaming platforms. They started calibrating their head in that zone, and then multiplexes and then there is an economy kick in, of course, and multiplexes are expensive. You don't go in India; it's a community visit. You don't go very rarely. The percentage of people who go alone or in twos is very tiny. You go in a group of friends or your family. Many people do the mathematic in their house, and they say we can probably say watch 2 or 3 films in the year, with the result. And we also have this backup of watching content at home. So why should we go and watch a film that is not a spectacle that I can enjoy at home? So then the moment you make your film tiny, you make your film small, you will not watch it at home.
So, but then how do you explain the success of, suppose, like a Love Today in Tamil cinema?
So this one, the 20-year-old has more power today. We have to beg for money. Now kids have a lot of money in their hand and they are choosing what they want to watch. And they are ready to go and watch a 4 o'clock show. Earlier 4 o'clock shows used to be 1 or 2 shows in Tamil Nadu. Now there are 120, 200 shows in 4 a.m. shows. And it's only youngsters who
the
come.
ticket rates are lower, right?
in Telugu it's high.
In Tamil Nadu, it's just 120.
It's quite, you'll have a stable ticket rate, right?
No, there are lots of things
like festival is different. It changes.
It changes a bit,
But they also have this very controlled marketing, and they have everything is very controlled.
And also the costs are lower.
Costs are lower.
They don't have marketing costs like we have. Today, if I want to launch a new talent, say a new boy, new girl, and put the film, nobody will watch the film now because we'll have to promote it so much. And how do you recover that P&A? So the way the marketing goes in the other languages, Hindi is ridiculous.
It's limited.
Our P&A costs are just
huge.
They are
massive.
And they are pointless at times. Because they are not
Absolutely
serving
pointless.
any by going on reality shows and visiting malls and getting 8,000 people show up, but 80 have not reached the theatre.
But also the fans are different there. Like films is it's a religion. You know, they're very passionate about their actors and their people and their language. So it's very different because people
not
will
across
go watch.
every language.
No, that's
Even the
across every
actors, you don't see them so often. You have to buy a ticket to go see them. You know what I mean? So there's
You know what they're doing in the bathroom.
everything.
Now you know everything.
Everything. So
Now,
it's a different.
Took a good shower today and there'll be one shower like this, enjoying my green tea and like everything.
Dulquer and Karthi, take a lesson from this. Never get on
Don't do
Instagram.
it.
You
Yeah,
know?
you are, right?
Dulquer's a big on Insta.
I'm there, but like, I'm always being bombarded by my team being like,
Yeah.
please put an organic post. Please an organic
But
post.
the
Organic
introvert,
versus is green tea.
but the introvert in me loves that these guys like, I want to be that. Just sit and like go do my work, go show up on
Hello,
set.
Instagram game is here, sir is here.
Legend.
Because in every interview I listen, everybody says his name. That it's Varun,
why.
Varun.
But you're like this is,
you have great insight.
marketing.
I just started using
He has a
Instagram.
game.
Juggernaut,
The
you.
word he uses is Insta game.
Yeah, you have Instagram.
He's
No, I've got
Insta
game in life, probably.
I don't know. We have to ask Natasha.
game.
that.
But I feel-
She refused me like 16 times.
I feel Instagram, generally social media, in terms of, I don't think as a civilization we have figured out how the algorithms are affecting us. Like everything that we do,
Affects our
like the other day I was looking for a particular kind of a bag. I was having a conversation with my wife about it. The next day I have Instagram ads about it.
That's
Yeah.
always
So
listening.
there is an echo chamber that we are being forced to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
crazy.
That's
They're
very
always
I
nice.
feel like
listening.
it's the
I-
closest to
They're
mind
open.
control ever.
No, but what I do is I intentionally follow people who I fundamentally disagree with, politically or otherwise, just to get a balanced perspective. Because otherwise, I don't know what's
You
happening
don't
on the
understand-
ground.
Yeah, that's a very good
Yeah.
point.
Because
Yeah,
you
you
tend
can-
to
you can
hear.
be in a bubble, yeah.
You
Better go and start following some people now.
No, but I also think Instagram
and not
used
all of
to
them
be-
are unreasonable. Not
No,
it's
it's
They just
important to
differ
get
in
different
view.
points.
Different
Very
point of
different
view.
approach, huh?
Like
Very different
speaking of
approach.
which, I just want to put this open. Like now, this big narrative has become certain films are Hindutva versus the non-Hindutva brigade, and even a film like RRR, for instance, a lot of people were attacking it for these reasons. So the thing is, do you think that has kind of changed the narrative a bit about certain like films, about how they're viewed, or is there just like a bunch of like article
There are
writers?
two kind. There's a filmmaker who actually believes in something, and if he puts his belief out, there's an honest film there, right?
Yeah.
The problem are these opportunists who think this is a wave, and if we jump on that wave, then what happens is like we'll get funding, we'll get backing, we'll get access to the powers to be and this and that. Those are the problem films.
Right.
Those are the problem films.
Right.
It is not. There's some films that actually come from a belief system. Like my theatre teacher was a staunch Swayamsevak.
Right.
Right? But he never imposed anything on anyone. At one side, I started doing theatre with a group which was extremely left, which was Jannat Image. Then going to Dubeji, who was a staunch Swayamsevak. Then going everywhere, and we were impressionable. No? So one day you're a leftist, second day you're a capitalist, third day you become something else because you believe in anything, and every ideology looked like, oh my God, wide-eyed little children, like, oh my God, yeah, let's believe in something.
Right.
We were like that. So problem is not there. Problem is not if you really believe in something and you're putting it out there. Problem is most of these opportunities, they use it, and the way they use it, then it becomes propaganda.
Right. So
And opposing view also is a counter propaganda.
right. So the point is that some people say that the diminishing ticket sales, especially in Bollywood, is
That's
because of like this opposing point saying that Bollywood is too left leaning, and that's not
Which is not true at
I
all.
don't think
No,
that's
nothing
Which
can
is not
stop
Bollywood is
film.
most capitalist
film
that you will ever see. There's no
there
left or right
a
there.
lot of it is just ridiculous, and it is just theories and conspiracy theories that can keep happening and going on
It'll
and
go
on
on.
and on. People want to watch your film, they're going to watch it. Nobody's targeting Bollywood.
Yeah.
Because if that was true, then why would a film
Yeah.
open to 35
agree.
crores
Yeah.
at all?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
nobody is being so like I'm Bollywood
Yeah.
but not for this person. I'm Bollywood, I'm anti-Bollywood now. And I mean I see these trends and the Bollywood bashing. I'm like there's nothing. We make great films. They will do phenomenal business.
Yeah,
It's
I
ad.
agree.
You don't make a good film, it's
Yeah,
not
it
going to
won't
get an
work.
audience.
It won't
No,
work.
I
We are
think-
not. We don't have. I'll tell you one. We don't have a forgiving audience anymore.
Yeah.
We used to have. There was a time where they were like,
Yeah, you
on
can't-
a riding on a superstar, we'll watch even a substandard film. That's not going to happen. Even a superstar has to deliver a super product.
No, that's because I think the cost of going and watching a film,
Has
not
become-
only money
yeah,
in terms
much.
of time to
Time.
like
When
weather the
everything is
traffic,
readily
and,
available. It's
you know,
like this
to
one.
weather the
But-
traffic, to make sure you get to
Yeah.
the theater, pay the parking guy. It's like it is a task. It is not. It is not
You're not
something.
going in unless you've heard great. Word of mouth is a huge tool.
Yeah.
And first trailer.
Yeah. You
like-
have
like
unless you are
trailer.
sure that film is very good, people are not gonna go,
Yeah.
or something they've been waiting for.
But also for
Because of the trailer, because of the
also for an
director,
audience
because
who
of
watches
whoever.
probably watch Hollywood cinema or you watch like their shows and stuff. So you have to watch your favorite shows on Amazon and other streaming
But
channels.
you're still talking about a very privileged audience.
But I'm saying,
there's an
yeah,
India
but that audience is not going.
Yeah, they are to definitely not
It's
going.
I
not
think
going.
it's
That's
like
exact- I
Hindi
want-
picture nahi chal rahi hai, but I'm like, how is the film? हाँ ठीक थी.
Yeah.
The film is not good. People are not going to see it, like he said. It's
No, but
not
the other
like
thing is that everybody has become a box office site.
yeah.
But for Marathi films,
Everybody is reporting. They ask. First they ask.
No.
They tell you, is it 100 crores? But have you seen the film? Have you liked the film?
Yeah.
What did you think of the film? I mean,
But it's
just
become like a
ridiculous. Has it
sport.
done 100
It's like-
crores?
it's a
or
sport.
not?
It's like a
Yeah.
sport.
There
As
is a
filmmakers, you
trend.
can't get
It's a
into the
sport.
number game.
You have your team.
Yeah.
Doesn't
you
encourage you
support
to make good
And you
films.
know, it can destroy your mind.
Yes, of
when you
course,
have
yeah.
people tell you, little weak in Bengal, but then you start wondering, why is it weak in Bengal? It may be weak in Bengal. They didn't like your film. Maybe another
Leave it.
state like your
Just
film,
leave
whatever
it,
it is. Why is it doing well here? Why is it not doing? Then single screen, multiplex. You're just hearing all this information. As a filmmaker, you can be under an MRI if you listen to all the.
But all films do well on OTT.
Right.
Yeah, that we can say now. Number one watch film of the week.
Everyone says
It's
that.
very easy
Karthi,
to
as
say.
a leading man, your numbers are a big part of your life, right? It's like, I mean, yes, one part of your life says, I want to make good movies, whatever, however we define good. But there is another part of your life that is very dependent on the numbers.
That's what,
right?
how much percentage you give to that is important. No?
Right.
Like what Nipun said, no, it's not a project, it's a film.
Right.
So when you approach it as a good film, and then the focus is more on delivering that film right.
Right.
You know, from the process you say yes, until it comes to the theatre, there's so much happening between it. You know, there's like Satyaraj sir pointed out saying, at every point there's an effort to spoil that story.
Wow.
You know, but at every point, a new actor comes in, or an AD, or maybe a sound guy, or maybe a camera. Anybody could just
One
take it away
department
from
will-
that vision.
Yeah.
So it's so important to deliver it as a film that you imagined.
Right.
No, that's
So then
very
focus
important to-
less on the numbers, rather focus on giving the good product. Are you satisfied with it?
But when you're making something like Ponniyin Selvan, which is like a big number project from the beginning, isn't there a bit of fear? I mean, I'm not talking about you, but with Mani Ratnam, with every Srikhar Prasad, the whole team, Vikram, you know, like everybody, because you're trying to do something and it's a big number. Similarly, Brahmastra, like you're trying to do something, like you're investing a lot in that particular movie.
And time also, right?
Isn't
Because-
the number going to be?
See, that's what, it's again the conviction on the story
Yeah,
that you have.
That's the key word.
Now, how much the story inspires you to do it? How can they go and take a KGF and make it so big? Because Yash believed in it.
Right.
He said this is going to be big. Like that, you know, when you make a film, you know you are inside the film.
Right.
You're taking that scene. You know here I clapped when I listened to the narration. You know this when it comes out like this is going to be great.
And also
You
look
know,
at the work and the time a team and an artist has given.
Absolutely.
You know, I heard it when I was hosting the event, and that you waited that long and didn't do anything.
6 years,
else.
2 movies.
Yeah,
Wow.
6 years and 2 movies. Now that is the similarly like on Bahubali 1 when Rana and Prabhas gave all their time and the rest of the cast, Anushka
5
and
years.
everybody
Yeah.
else.
No, see, I'll tell you
I would
another
like to
thing.
boast about my leading man. He's put on 22 kgs over
Rakshesh
the last
Shetty.
So
2
10
years.
years later and 10 years before, so he's gone through
Like the
that.
film happens over 2 decades. So he's put on 22 kgs and he's carrying that weight.
And that's one of the reasons
No,
he couldn't come to this
Yeah.
panel because, you know, like he said, I'm just so exhausted working on this film that I can't
So,
think
but
of it.
I've seen that. Like
No,
before
we are
KGF 1, Yash was in Bombay before the film
Every
had come
film,
out.
no? With every-
with
for every
it was in Bombay
No,
with
he's showing the
KGF
film to
also.
people.
His belief and faith, because he has come to my office also and met me,
Right.
saying you have to see this film.
Right.
Because when Excel went and picked up the film finally and released it.
Karthi,
But that conviction that he had was right from the beginning before it came out.
Right.
No, but see, the thing is, we're talking about success stories. There was one called Ayrathulur. 3 years we sat on the film, like what she said. I had given 3 years, and all of us gave that time. So again, you have to come back with the satisfaction of giving something good. You keep worrying about the numbers and the result of the film, you can't live through it.
Right.
You have to enjoy that process.
Even our film took around 9 years to make.
Me
But-
Vasantrao.
Me Vasantrao. But I mean, of course, we did do other stuff in between, but
May
there
I
was
ask what took that much time? Is like
the monies.
putting the money
yeah,
together.
putting the monies together. I had not made a film till then. Rahul, our lead actor, hadn't done a film till then. We had done theatre by then, but we hadn't done a film, and nobody believed in us at all. And now that I think of it, it was a question of 4.5 crore rupees. But still, we couldn't get it together. But once it started, the kind of work that we could do in those years, the kind of pre-production that we did, it all showed in the film. And I think that is why, you know, a few people liked it.
Okay.
It's like Brahmastra had taken so much time.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
every
5
time
years?
I could think of the filmmaker, I could think of the actor
10
behind
years.
it, the producer
Between
behind
his
it.
last film and 10 years between his
Lot
last
of
film and
conviction.
this.
Yeah.
But again, not necessary because you've taken 5 years, the movie has to be hit.
Yeah.
I mean, the sense,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
No,
yeah.
yeah.
Only your
Exactly.
conviction on the story.
Yeah.
No, but I think
It is one
No,
person's
because the
conviction.
Cobra, I mean, we also gave 3 years there, but audience did not take it the way we expected.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we did not passionately
hard.
work on it
Right.
or work hard.
Yeah.
We did. So yeah, it's actually a gamble.
But I think if you're looking for gold dust, one thing is that a film which is made with conviction can possibly succeed,
Yes.
but can also fail. But a film without conviction can't succeed.
Yeah,
That's
at all.
not possible.
it's one
I think that
option.
is one
Yeah.
one
No,
rule.
and also
And I
the
think-
filmmaker has a voice, right?
Yeah.
And you know, to go and suddenly follow the norm or follow the narrative of that moment
Yeah.
and go away from your core voice and conviction, it's going to show up. Like,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
And I
absolutely.
think
It's
what
important.
Karan said, earlier maybe we used to have a forgiving audience where they'd say, "Oh, my hero, so I'll watch anything."
No, if
you
you've
know,
seen Mr. Bachchan's films, there were some that were possibly not to the standard of what he's created, but they were phenomenal successes because they went in to watch Amitabh Bachchan no matter what. It was also a single screen world. There wasn't these multiplexes. Just pure data tells you that Agnipath, released in 1990, was given the status of a flop film, had more footfalls than the Agnipath released in 2011, which was called a hit film. But the flop film had bigger numbers.
Of people walking in.
Yeah, it is just that the numbers, ticket prices, multiplexes gives you the status of a hit. That was considered a flop film.
Right. So going back to another point that Hemant raised, everybody keeps talking about how OTT has taken away the sheen of the theatre, but the penetration of OTT is it really that much?
OTT platforms are definitely not coming in the way of theatrical business. In fact, I would go as far as saying that the existence of OTT platforms means the empowerment of writers, means the empowerment of solid actors, and I think cinema can only benefit. There is no loss of audience. There is, yes, perhaps an upper crust loss, which were never contributing to very high numbers anyways. So I feel like that narrative is incorrect. Like, oh, look, OTT, no. The real audience that is actually, we may be losing out to is the cable television audience, is the satellite audience. They, yes, I can say, are feeling that we'll wait 5 months, we'll see it. We don't have 5,000 rupees to go. We don't want to spend that money. We'd rather spend it on more important things than watch a feature film. That is the loss, not the OTT platform.
Actually,
I think that they're actually helping
piracy in a big way.
Piracy
also.
I think like Malayalam, I'm sure
Sorry,
it's
cut
down piracy in a huge way, OTT, because they're able to see a legal version.
Yes, it has.
Like earlier, you were consuming MP3s on internet and movies on internet.
Hey,
You know,
OTT is-
you download and
OTT
watch
has
it
benefited
immediately.
me the most. I was a downloadable filmmaker. People used to download my films and watch it. But at least now it gets
OTT has made
monetized.
that possible.
But for like
We have a
Malayalam, I
legal
feel like
version.
we've got a bigger budget now thanks to OTT. It's given us
I
one
think it's a
more
big boon.
revenue stream.
I always look at it, it's a big boon.
Because otherwise we had what, theatrical in Kerala, maybe the Middle East,
Right.
and a satellite number. Now we've got one more, which is really helping us be a little braver in our choices, or tell a little slightly larger story, or tell most, whatever it is.
Nipun, you wanted to say something?
No, and I believe that the theatrical infrastructure, at least in Maharashtra, isn't that great, except for Pune, Mumbai. The number of theatres available, it's quite disappointing, to say the least. It is great in the southern part of India, but in Maharashtra it's not that great. So I believe OTT and cable television plays a huge part. And one of the factors also is that most of these actors are available on all formats. You can see them in plays, you can see them in movies, and you can see them on television as well. So selling a film becomes even more difficult after a point of time, because
I'm not getting that point. Most of the actors are in plays and...
they are in plays as well. So you can see a very good actor.
But that's a very small audience, right? A theatre audience.
Actually, theatre is doing very well
It's very well in
Marathi.
Maharashtra.
It's doing extremely well.
Theatre has always been the key thing in Maharashtra.
Yeah, it has. And there are nearly 7 or 8 plays that are, there are 17 or 18 odd plays that are doing the rounds in Maharashtra right now, and 7-8 of them are super hits.
Oh.
So, one show might just get you 4 or 5 lakh rupees for the producer, which is a very good number. So, so that's the thing, that in Marathi plays, you can see an actor in a Marathi play, you can see him in a Marathi, he does television also, and he does films also.
That's interesting.
So
Yeah.
that is interesting, but the
Yeah.
flip side is also the fact that they are too accessible. So you really have to make
They can't really draw the audience to the cinema.
the draw. I don't think, other than Nagaraj or maybe a Nana, we have a star per se, on whose name people will come and watch a film.
But OTT in a way has increased the number of people watching movies. No? The penetration is more people have started watching movies.
And
But
especially the pandemic also.
Right.
More writers, even in Kannada, like he said, Kannada industry, more
People have not been
writers.
watching so many films, now they started watching films.
No, they're not watching each other's films.
I've seen you somewhere, you look familiar. Because there are people who don't know you. We have to accept that.
yeah.
But those people have also started watching films because of OTT.
And I think it's also because the dubbed versions of them, you can see a film, I don't know about, let's take Kaidi for instance. Is it available in Hindi right
it's
now?
on YouTube.
Like a Hindi
On
dubbed
YouTube.
version.
On YouTube.
On YouTube. not
YouTube
on-
is huge. It's bigger than
Yeah.
OTT.
They have so
much
many
bigger
views,
than OTT.
million views.
Because I was speaking to Pushkar and Gayatri, because the Vikram Veda was a success in Tamil, but not so much in Hindi. And they said one of the reasons was because a dubbed version was
Already there.
available.
Yes, yeah.
See, which is Drishyam,
Yeah.
and Drishyam, the Hindi film is a superb film. I absolutely think it's going to do phenomenal business.
Drishyam 2.
Drishyam 2 in Hindi. But there is no Hindi dub available. And therefore, people, the brand value of Drishyam is so strong through satellite that is the logic for their opening. And then the film is good.
Drishyam was remade in China as a film and it did $200 million. Drishyam as a Chinese film on box office did $200 million.
The story
was remade in China.
Drishyam
It did $200
is such a
million as a
simple
Chinese film
narrative,
because
but
they
you
just did not
can't
make it
stop
available in any
Like you
language.
can't stop watching it because it's just intriguing to the extent of like it just captivates your attention. That's the brilliance of that writing.
There's a
And
very
it's just
perverse
human
element to it in the
emotions.
sense that as an audience, which is why I love it, because you want the family to succeed in covering up this murder. Which is, I think,
love it.
the
You're
most amazing thing you can do.
It's like all of us are rooting
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, that's
No, but actually
amazing.
the antagonist
That's
is set
the
so
beautiful
right.
way of
Yeah, yeah,
making.
The antagonist is made so bad that, you know, that's what happened in Anmahanla also. Like the end of it, I'm burying them alive. But people are cheering, saying get rid of them.
Everybody is in this what if this happens to me situation. Where this guy is actually evil. And if me and my family is exposed to it, like, I want to protect
It
us.
also comes down to the protection of your family, which is a very resonant emotion.
Right.
And beautifully
Emotions
made,
right,
beautifully
the film
shown.
just does
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
you
That
know.
that emotion at the
Whether
core
it's
of it.
No, and also
OTT or-
emotion that is deeply identifiable to the nation.
Right.
Like you do a strong father-son story, it's very rarely that film will fail. Then again, if you take an emotional, if you take a husband-wife story, if you do it right, the history of cinema will tell you that there have been only hit films on those genres.
But tell me, Karan, and I mean, all of you, you may choose not to answer this question if you don't want to, but let's take the bond between friends.
Yeah.
Is a very resonant emotion.
Yeah.
But Unchai has not really like kind of performed the way it was
But
expected.
look at what Unchai actually could have been given the climate and what it has achieved. I'm just saying, let's look at it as a like I told you, the new 70 crore club is now 30 crores.
So the Unchai is 30
but
is
trust
actually
me,
70.
This is the film that has suffered because this is the film that would have, like The Pink, like Piku, like Kapoor and Sons, Nirja. Unchai was falling very beautifully into that bracket. This film has suffered because this is the film that people will
Like this type of film.
This type of film, which is emotional, bonding, human drama, slice of life, a combination of all. That is the reason
But
why.
isn't there a contradiction there? Because you're at the one hand you're saying if the emotion is right, then
No, but that is emotion has to be backed by a certain kind of packaging also.
okay.
Like emotion, like you and I are just talking to each other emotionally at home. Nobody's going to watch the movie. We can be very emotional
It has
and
to
we can be
hit
very
right
real. But
pulse
also
of the
there is
audience.
emotion has to be resonant in a way. Like for example, Kabir Singh had so many, polarizing views. But it was made with that music, with that abandon, with that scale. It was given that. That's why, and that film was liked by men and women, and there were women and men who criticized it. But obviously, the numbers were so large because it was made like that. It's how you do even that connective emotion of misogyny, perhaps. Which is like what. It's not that misogyny should ever be connective, but at the end of the day, there are men who is like, "Arey, I'm like this," and I want to watch it because he's an ashik. That's how they were looking at it, not seeing the underlying kind of layers of misogyny. But that's why it kind of worked in the numbers. It's not possible to do the number otherwise.
Yeah, and I would say not the misogyny part, but like when you talk about the scale part, Sita Ramam is another example because on the one hand it's just a love story, but at the same time the way it was mounted, the way the letters came into play, the emotion of a man and a woman being in love, but with that little twist of letters and with that other twist that we
When I
want to
read
really-
all about it, I was so glad that it's such a big hit because it reminded me of like what Yash uncle, as in Yash Chopra, would have done with a story. I mean, it gave me that feeling, and I'm so glad a film like that today.
scope, right?
Yeah. Again, I mean, like Swapna, the producer, Ashwini Dutt Garu, they had the conviction to mount it like this. Whereas I come from Malayalam, I'm always I'm a producer also. I'm always a little conservative as to, I'll be worrying if we break a skate and I'm like, what about interest costs? Like, my brain works like that. And, they'll be like, oh, we're shooting this song in Gujarat. I'm like, Gujarat, okay. We're going to, Kashmir, and we're going to Spiti. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, at the core of it, it's still a love story, right? And I remember actually, Karan, we had a conversation once, and you were like, that genre is just dead.
Yeah.
People don't come to the cinemas to watch it.
Love stories. Yeah.
So in my head, I'm like, wow, they're showing so much conviction in this genre, which at least statistically
I can't
goes
tell
to
you
say.
how it made me happy.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
This particular genre is really lying in some
Dormant.
grave somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it has
So
I'm very
that's a
fans
cinema.
of-
That's a cinema that actually made me. So I'm like, Arey yaar.
Nobody's watching me. No, yeah.
So all all props to them for having that conviction to
So
go ahead.
when they narrated to you, Dulquer, was it like, because when the story narration comes,
Yeah.
did they already have a scale narration as well, like as in?
No, like I heard it first in 19. It also evolved over the past 2 years. A lot of the new twists and all came into play later. But I always saw it like that. I always saw it as period and this, royalty and
Like saga
army
period.
and Kashmir.
You saw it as a big film.
I saw all of that. I mean, for me, anything is big. Come on, like where I come from, anything is this kind of a story itself seems big. So I'm like, wow, I'd love to be a part of this world. I mean, how are they going to mount? But I'm also banking on the team that made Mahanati, which also for me was a large film, like a big canvas, and they were again betting blindly into that subject matter, and a group of youngsters who who probably weren't even exposed to Savitri Garu in her prime,
Correct.
but they picked up a subject like that and were so passionate about it, and they bankrolled it and pushed to tell that story over so much time and over so much set work and all this stuff.
Right.
Whereas I, growing up, when I was young, we would see these kind of epic period films in all of our industries. And then kind of the business changed so much, especially in Malayalam, that we could never imagine mounting a period film.
Right.
It's the thing that happened with Lagan actually. It's like everyone thought Amir and Ashutosh were mad because they were making a film. Period firstly was like a bad word. It was like period film meaning flop film. Like it was not. Upar se, it's about some Angrez and the heroes in a dhoti. That was the other one, and it is about like cricket and some Angrez, and it is how some village, like everyone thought like, what the hell is he making? It's literally what the hell is he making?
3 hours 40 minutes.
Yeah, and it was 3 hours, 3 hours 42 minutes. I mean, like literally, that's like the longest.
You
I
go
think
into the day,
longest
come out at night.
Hindi film ever in the history. I know Kabhi Khushi is 3 hours 32, but this is at least 8 minutes more. But I was like, at that point in time, it broke all the myths, like you were saying. Like it broke every myth. Like it was a period film. The hero was like, it was in a. I kept saying, "Arey hero dhoti mein kaise film chalegi?" And like it was like so stupid. It was like all these things that we make in our head. Like we are told, like titles are unlucky and all that nonsense you have to hear. And like you don't release in Shraddh, ye ho jayega. Like now you can't find a release date because there's Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Hollywood, and we're like sitting arey, but we can't come with anyone because everyone is in opposition.
One thing that you mentioned about the key word that we keep returning to, I think, is conviction.
Yeah.
Because Ashutosh and Amir had that
Yes.
that conviction
And
that this
to the extent
crazy movie is going
that
to work.
every single person thought they were mad.
Yeah.
Till the film was out. And they converted cinema halls into stadiums.
Right.
That's when
It
you
still
realize
works.
the
I
power.
watched
of
it in
that.
lockdown. I was
It's still-
cheering. I
it's
was
still-
sitting alone and watching.
It's like watching a big cricket
The
match.
climax was like,
No, and because you watched it a while ago, you forget. So you
Yeah,
when you
still
revisit it
all
now,
the thrills
that
are
emotion
working.
comes
No,
in.
and also how they gather the people
Yeah.
together and all that. There's so much of you.
And
but
then I'm telling you, right before the last match, they put up an aarti, and that also thought cut the Opalan Hare. They comes in because they can't. Ashutosh and Amir were not listening to anybody.
So one thing
But I think
about
that's why most of the films that have really worked, that I just don't listen to
It's
anyone.
best. Yeah.
No, because
So with the like Srinidhi just mentioned Cobra, which is like and Pooja, you've been in a bunch of films across languages. Heroines always manage to cross languages. So this is for and Dulquer's managed that. Varun and Karthi now. Like, do you see yourself in a Tamil film, or do you see yourself
he's dying
in a
to
Hindi
do.
film?
Dying.
He
He
mentioned-
will reach and go to Hyderabad or
Jump,
Chennai
climb.
and live there if somebody offers it. Dying,
Climb
like
the
jumping.
mountain.
You already mentioned his interest to come and
No, I
do
would
that.
love
So see, we released Bhedia in Telugu and Tamil. In Telugu, it's called Todelu. So it was released by Geeta Arts. So even at the launch, they said you're more like a South Indian hero than a North Indian hero because of how like your energy levels and the way you want to.
The kind of films you do.
Yeah, the kind of films you do, and obviously that comes with the territory of whose son I am. But I would love to because I've never seen the distinction. In my household, I've grown up with my father in the morning showing me Tamil Telugu films.
Right. No, not that you see the distinction, but is it like with?
Will I get the opportunity?
Yeah, will
I think
will
you have to ask him.
audiences
See, he's a producer, and even he's a producer.
I don't produce films.
Okay.
My family produces. I
Yeah, but
don't.
their families make films. So I mean, it's up to them.
Right.
See if we can
Right now, these two are here.
To make Varundhawan.
I don't know if we can afford you.
I think you can
We
take
can't
tip-
afford you.
Why can't you afford me?
I think you can take tips on Dulquer on how to crack
Yeah,
different industries.
No, I would
you know.
love, honestly, if given the opportunity, I would love to. There are certain filmmakers that I think are brilliant. Like they are on my bucket list to work with. And I know it will happen. It will happen. I don't know how, but it's a plan and it will happen. Hopefully.
No, I've had the chance to cross over to Telugu.
Right.
Hindi, I think, very beginning, a man called me and said, I want you to play a cop.
I've had
And
the
I
same.
said, I can't
was
take a
to
word of
work on a
Hindi.
film with Dulquer also, and we almost then.
At what stage was this,
twisted.
Anurag?
Huh?
At what stage was this?
After my
roughly?
first film.
Iska to right at the
After
beginning.
my first film.
Because
About
when I
your
was
first-
writing for money, sir, he was
80.
He was 80 there.
Nuva, I was.
And him and my brother were very close friends.
Right.
No, but you know, having said that, KGF 2 has Raveena Tandon and Sanjay Dutt in
Sure,
it.
sure.
So
Yeah.
I think at
It's-
least y'all are
that was
definitely
like a
Parents are
conscious
coming from
doing
over
that.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So Anurag, what about the films of independent filmmakers? What is the, like he said, 70 becomes a 30. What is that figure looking like? Is the
Oh,
like a next?
See, there's a medium scale film that is now only going to make money when they go on OTT. That's kind of
And what is a medium scale film?
medium scale kind of a thriller or something like that. Generally, you have to either surprise people or you have to overwhelm them. I'm saying those are the ones.
Surprise we get every week. Overwhelmed is what we do. We are very surprised. In fact, surprise goes into shock.
Shock. No, independent films have really right now. They're the one, the low key independent films. They're the ones who are having a tough time because they're not finding space either on OTT or in cinemas.
Right. So Nipun, what's the OTT situation like for Marathi cinema and by extension, I would say regional cinema?
I feel like I've been giving you only negative things about.
No, but actually, what you've been saying has been a real eye opener. So,
But it's not so good. Sorry. Even my film is not out on OTT till now. It's with Jio. They have produced it, so I hope it'll get some kind of a release.
Why don't we sell it on OTT right now?
I
We'll all
mean,
make a
please,
page.
Just give Varun something to sell.
We'll all make a page.
Just give him something to
Varun
sell.
just, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, of course. We put it out there. He said it's the best film of the year, according to him.
Me, Vasant Roy,
And it was
everybody
one
who's
of my
seen it is just
And
raving
I
about
would,
it.
and I
don't
would
even
credit
watch
Baddy with absolutely great taste in cinema. So I would think
no,
that.
Thank you.
It was because it's music and it's very hard to make a biopic about a musician, and they managed that. And I thought I just loved it.
Congratulations. I hope everyone streaming.
Everyone go watch it.
Any streaming force listening to this knows that this needs to be widely viewed.
No, but what is the problem is that people don't pick up.
Yeah, I mean, since it does not have that great a footfall in the theaters, maybe that's why the OTT owners or managers, they feel that maybe they're not going to generate the numbers on
a lot
them
of
as
films they've
well.
not had, and yet they've.
Yeah, but there's
No,
also,
but is it also-
there's an amazing number of good independent films out there that are not finding any kind of a release and a platform at the moment. See, I get saved because I'm a genre filmmaker.
Right.
My films are still genre.
But you're also a
So I
name,
get
Anurag.
I get saved by OTT
Anurag.
because my films succeed only 4 years after release.
No, but you're also you're
If they
like
need
you
it
have a
all.
name. You're a brand name, right? So your people say, okay, Anuragkashyap
Yeah.
is still a name, and even if you're making a certain kind of film, there are many others who
They're not.
They're not-
I know lots of films that
because
I've
see, the
seen
thing
which
is,
I really
a lot
like.
of people like to say this. Oh, nobody makes good films anymore. Oh, nobody does that kind of film anymore, and they make it sound like they want to patronize a particular kind of cinema. But the first thing they look for on OTT is the big films.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what they do. At
Absolutely.
least the way I've seen it. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
so how do we kind of make sure that films like say Reema Das's or Nipun's get into the OTT system first? Forget being seen, or I think Reema's is on Netflix, but the other films, and get publicity enough for them to say at least give these the chance.
Sometimes I think it's as simple as not getting a meeting. I think sometimes all it takes is that connection. Is like X calling for Y and making it happen. Sometimes that's just what it is in the industry. I've realized relationship building, networking, making someone aware of his film is your first stage. and then telling them, showing it to them and saying that, look, there will be a wide audience. You don't have to actually publicize it because word of mouth will go for itself. All you have to build is a digital campaign. So it perhaps just takes that one meeting that perhaps hasn't been made possible for you, you know. I'm not a streaming giant. I wish I was. But at the end of the day, it's just that. And not because I'm gonna have a chat with them and I do and tell them and ask them why. Because if this is such a celebrated, wonderful film, then it should be on a Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar.
Right.
So also, I think there's one way out, which is what the youngsters are doing these days.
Okay.
Is YouTube. They literally know how to exploit YouTube, which we don't know.
Who knows?
The youngsters. They're making these short films in places like Aligarh and small towns, and through YouTube. Earlier, they would make their own DVDs and sell it door to door, and now they are putting it on YouTube and spreading the word within the region.
They have that small culture in
They have a
North
small
Kerala also, where they just do these straight-to-video movies.
Yeah.
I am 5 months away from putting out on YouTube, but I'll have to do it under an anonymous account. It's not with me, the film, of course. So, of course, a studio, it's with a studio. Studio will never allow that.
But they'll put it out. After this interview, I think they will put it out.
Why?
I think the biggest takeaway from the interview should be
So Hemant, let's start with you, like closing
should all
thoughts,
get to
right?
watch it.
So you're making a what? A bilingual, trilingual, what is it?
No, I'm making a
Kannada film.
And you never know. If people love it, it can go wider. So
Like I
Kantara.
started out wanting to tell a story, so I want to tell that story as well as I can. All of us, the whole team. So I've always believed that cinema is an amalgamation of everybody's collective brilliance. At the same time, everybody's incompetence as well. So as long as you can maintain the brilliance above the incompetence, it should be a
You
good
should be a
ship.
philosopher, you know. It's like,
So the idea is to do that first and then see where it can go.
Anuragji.
Where are you at, Anurag?
Yeah.
I'm making films. I only know how to make films.
Right.
So I'm making films.
You're in
and
your usual happy place.
I'm in that race where I'm like still that position of the successful filmmaker evades me. So I'll continue making films. my fall will begin only if success comes to me.
Karthi.
I'm awaiting PS2 next year, which we already finished shooting. So that's something expecting. And then we started shooting for Japan. That's with Rajamurugan, who's a great writer. So he's been having a huge following as a writer for his articles and for his books. And then Ravi Varman is shooting it. So it's been very exciting. We finished the first schedule. I'm doing a wacky guy. It's very different structure.
Yeah, the
altogether.
poster itself looked a little.
So a very good experience for me to explore something
You
different.
pick very, very unusual subjects. No?
Exactly.
Right from the beginning. Right from its first film onwards.
Right. And within the mainstream. That's
right
very
from
to be
the first
commercial
film
for me.
onwards. Yeah.
I'm not an art guy, so I don't have the
He
intelligence
won't
to
act in
do
your
art
film,
films.
Anurag. He's not an art guy, he won't act in your film.
No, I don't think I'm an art filmmaker. I'm a genre filmmaker.
I think he's very commercial.
Yeah.
In his own,
I'm commercial in that range.
Yeah, in his genre.
Srinidhi.
I'm pretty new to the field, but keeping the actor in me aside and just like an audience, how we all discussed that we were lacking the macho and all those movies. But along with that, I feel I also resonate, sorry to get this. Rishabh had mentioned in some of the interviews that local is national. And when I say local, I really want to wait for the movies that are deep rooted, like Kantara. And Kantara is just one part of the whole Karnataka. There's North Karnataka, there's Coorg, and there's so many stories to be told. And I really hope that all the makers here get all those stories out for me and for all of us audience to sit there and watch.
Local is global for the longest time.
Yeah, so local. Yeah, go
Local is
local.
I don't know. I think when you have a good year, you're even more afraid. So I'm really like, petrified right now.
Mindspace is a very interesting place to be
so
in.
I'm like literally petrified of every choice I'm going to make. I'm weighing every decision I've kind of taken for the year, weighing it out with other options, so it's.
Right.
I want to hopefully keep the momentum going and keep doing good work, irrespective of which industry. Well, presently I'm doing King of Kotha, which is like a Malayalam action.
Right.
So I've got Bawal coming up next with Nitish Tiwari, which I've finished filming. I've actually shot 3 films.
But haven't you got Circus before that?
Circus is her film.
Oh, still.
I'm promoting circus.
21st
But like
December.
Varun just has to get something to sell.
Paddy.
As long as he can market it.
Because I've heard you say circus so many times
No,
that
I'm
now I'm
just excited.
thinking that Ranveer's movie is actually your
23rd
movie.
It is.
December.
I think, see, honestly,
But now, Varun, we'll come to you to sell all of this, especially
Yeah.
South
see, I love film.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I love film. So just being here as a cinema lover, and whether it's north, south, east, west, wherever, I'm all for it. And if I do have a certain name or a certain following, I'll always put films.
So basically,
ahead.
like when people are not good with an Insta game but they want to sell a film, come to you. That's that,
Good, this is good.
right?
We
I
should use
would,
this.
no, like I really feel like it's. I think from this interview, it's really heartbreaking to hear
About
a
Nipun's film,
filmmaker
yeah.
saying that my film has not got a platform where it can be seen by so many, and then you saying it's so good. So I genuinely feel the biggest outcome of this interview should be that if so many collective powerful people are
Hemanthrao
here,
on
we
OTT.
should get his
Hemanthrao.
film
Absolutely.
onto a platform, because he's a good filmmaker and we have to encourage the artists, because that's what we all claim to be.
Well, I feel like I'm at a very interesting stage in my career right now in terms of the steps that I take next is going to define me as who I am as an actor, right? Because I've done a certain kind of films, and now what I do will either solidify who I am or change my perception. So I think for me, the way I look at it, funny enough, what Dulquer was saying is about being scared, and I think somewhere it's inherently there in us as actors. But I think for me right now, what's motivating me is I just want to, be inspired going on set. Like I just want to work with good filmmakers and make a project that we all feel so passionate about. Like that's my number one goal. I don't know if it's gonna work, not work, who's gonna watch it. So I think that's what I'm aiming for. Just making something that's unapologetically me and that I'm really proud of.
Right. And let me tell you this, I think yours is one of the stories that are going to keep inspiring people because you had your debut in a certain industry, didn't do well, waited a long time, another big movie came across, didn't do well, waited a long time, suddenly things started falling into place. So it was like, people in the film industry always keep waiting for these stories to kind of keep them going, right? So
I'm so glad that you say that, because like I come from a very non-filmy family. If you just work hard, my journey hasn't been something like I started that one film and then it just took off, and it's been a constant process. People ask me about the choice of films and I'm like, that was what was offered to me. I took what I got and I made something out of it, because like you have to hustle, I hope that someone else watching that would relate to me, and I mean that's like great. Thank you, you made my day.
Karan, are you going to sell Rocky now?
No. I'm just very happy and very grateful for the success of Coffee with Karan. Because, I just feel if all else fails, that will be a great backup plan. I was very nervous before it released because I felt like this was my strong future, and I'm really happy it did really well.
If nothing else.
Because if nothing, so I'm like, anyway, jokes aside, it's been a turbulent ride this year for many filmmakers, but it's also been a wake-up call. And I think as someone who, as a studio head, if I have not taken heed to that wake-up call, then I'll be stupid, because delusion is a disease without any vaccination in our industry, and I don't want to be deluded neither to the success or the failure of my films. So I just want to keep learning, and this, like today, has been a learning. Every film that I've watched in the last couple of years has been a learning. Box office has been a learning. The core conviction that is lacking has been something that I've learned, and I just want to say, and you did mention Rocky or Rani, and why not? It's the time to plug ourselves. I'm like, that is the film that I made with only conviction, because I was like, if I think of like logic or like sensibility, am I saying anything profound, or I'm going to just have fun with leading actors that I love, I'll just make that film. So I just hope that conviction comes across, and then I just want to continue telling stories. That's it.
Nipun.
I think I just want to think about things that are in my control, which I believe is making a film. I'm proud of the film that I made right now, and I'm not proud of everything that I've made, but I am proud of the film that I made right now, and I love that feeling. And I just want to work towards, feeling that with every film that I make. So, I think my focus will be more on making films that I believe in, and not thinking where it is going to go, what will happen with this film. I just want to keep telling stories. I know I can't sell stories, but I can at least tell them. So I'll rather do that. Yeah.
Right. So thanks everyone for being part of this and having this very I think newspapers like to call freewheeling chat.
Yeah.
Like a freewheeling chat with Dulquer, freewheeling chat with Karan, freewheeling chat with Karthi, Anurag, whatever. But it's been great having all of you. And Hemant particularly, I really liked your philosophical side.
No, it was actually a lead off from what he said, where he said that when an actor comes in the film, I think you said it changes. It becomes
every stage.
Every stage.
Thing
So when I write the film, for me, it's purest and it's great when it's on paper. Every step of the way, it's like, it's
Losing it.
You know,
But it's
Someone's
such
trying
a
to mess with
scary
it.
feeling, but it's the best feeling
yeah,
ever.
it's
Where
what.
is
But there's
it
a
gonna go?
Hindi saying that says that suno sabki karo apni. Which is like listen to everybody but do your own thing, because everybody has so many opinions.
I think
it's
when something really scares you, jump into it. That's how I pick my films. When it's very scary and it challenges me,
That's
then
when
that's when you jump into it.
Right.
That's when you
So
push yourself.
Thanks for calling us, Barry.
Thank you.
yeah, thank you for the word
First
of the
round
year. I think conviction.
Conviction.
So, yeah, that I think is what we're taking away from this. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, it doesn't get more illustrious and prolific than this. We just finished the Mega Roundtable for Galatta Plus with none other than Baradwajrangan. Give him a huge round of applause.
Thank you everyone for being here. So,
And individually, there's more talent, and combined, there's more talent in this room than there is in the whole city right now.
that's a little.
That was just my addition. You can cut it out.
No, I think people are going to like that. So that's so.